Friends, I welcome you again to this channel where we are learning English language and literature. Friends, in this lecture, today we are going to discuss Geoffrey Chaucer's art of characterization. We are going to examine Geoffrey Chaucer as a great painter of English literature. Geoffrey Chaucer, who was born in 1341 and died in 1400, is considered as the father of English poetry, the father of English literature. Chaucer is best known for writing his masterpiece, his magnum opus, the Canterbury Tales. The Canterbury Tales, written in the Middle English language, it expresses the society in a vivid and lively manner. Chaucer has given the lifelike characters. He has drawn the lifelike character sketches in the Canterbury Tales. In this poetry, Geoffrey Chaucer has presented about 30 pilgrims who are going to a pilgrimage to Canterbury. And these 30 characters, they belong to different classes of society. They are all the representatives of their particular class from where they are coming. Chaucer has presented these characters from different walks of life, and it is through these characters, Chaucer has presented a kind of realistic picture of the 14th century British society. Chaucer is considered as the first great painter of English literature. His character sketches which he has presented are very brief but still lucid and lifelike. They are comprehensive characters. The ins and outs of the characters are depicted in such a superb manner, that the entire personality of the character seems moving before our eyes when we are reading the Canterbury Tales. And that's why, Chaucer's unique reach and original art of characterization has enabled him to delineate memorable portraits. His characters like the knight, the squire, the wife of Bath, the clerk of Oxford, these characters have become immortal characters in literature, in English literature. And he has employed several techniques of characterization. The first and most important technique of characterization adopted by Chaucer in his presentation of these characters is characterization by theory of humor. And this was one of the most popular technique of characterization in the 14th century among the writers of the 14th century or the medieval period. This theory divided personalities according to the predominance of one of the elements, fire, water, air or earth. In the medieval period, the personality could be judged by these four criteria: the amount of fire, the amount of water, the amount of air, or the amount of earth. Which one is greater in comparison to the remaining three? So, through this technique, he has presented his characters. For example, some of his characters are dominated by the humor of blood. Humor of blood, which on its turn was understood to produce a large appetite and pleasure in physical satisfaction, and one of such characters is Franklin, and that's why the phrase sanguine has been used to describe the character of Franklin by Geoffrey Chaucer. Another important technique Chaucer has adopted in his characterization is physiognomy. The characterization by physiognomy. Physiognomy means the writers used to describe their characters through their physiognomy to expose their inner spiritual health. Chaucer has done it successfully in the Canterbury Tales. Say, for example, if you take the character of the summoner, Chaucer describes the character summoner by using these words fire, red, cherubim face. He describes the physical appearance of the summoner. Pimples, narrow eyes, scabby black brows, all such phrases, reflect his inner spiritual corruption. Summoner was a corrupt character from church in those times. So he has presented the characters by physiology, you can say. Description through physical features is also employed in the case of Wife of Bath and the Prioress. Closely connected with this is Chaucer's technique of character portrait through dressings, physical features, all such things are beautifully presented by Chaucer in his Canterbury Tales. The Prioress and the Wife of Bath, their fashionable dresses reveal their materialism, and amorous nature. That's why Chaucer varies his presentation from the full-length portraits to the thumbnail sketches. Minute details of their dresses, of their physical look, of physical features, all these things are presented by Chaucer through his character, by Chaucer, and through this kind of presentation, he draws the character sketches, and at the same time he brings about their important qualities as characters. Another important point to be noted here is that Chaucer has drawn his characters both by individuals and by types. Some of his characters are individual characters, but most of his characters are typical characters. And every typical character, represents his own class, his or her own class. And this is a superb technique of characterization in English literature. The characters are not only representatives of their respective classes, of their respective societies from where they are coming, but they also possess some individual traits or individual personalities. For example, there is a character called the friar. The friar is a typical representative of his class during the 14th century. He is presented as a corrupt, hypocritical and greedy man, but his good voice, his twinkling eyes, his white neck, and above all his name, which has been given to him by Chaucer, Brother Hubert. All these things, you can say they are the individualistic touches, individualistic traits in the character. In the same manner, there is a character called the Old Knight. He stands for heroism and manliness that good knight would always show on the battlefield. So the knight is a representative character of his class, but he has been individualized by his prudence and by his weaknesses of behavior. Okay, so his characters are at a time typical and at some other time individual also. There is another character called the prioress. The prioress is the type of a woman who is an epicure, but she is portrayed as an individual also, with her meticulous care in eating and her courtly manners, as well as care in eating her courtly manners. Her tenderness of heart is expressed through his table manners. Okay. In the same manner, you can take the example of the character of the monk. You know, the monk is a typical character of those times, who is not at all interested in the matters of religion, in the matters of church, in the matters of reading books, holy books and all. But he is mostly interested in hunting. This shows the picture of the then society, 14th century society, where the monks used to go for hunting and all. They were more interested in hunting rather than doing the religious duties. But at the same time, Chaucer's monk is an individual personality also, with bald head and with rolling eyes, glowing like the fire under a cauldron. So individual traits are also given to each typical characters. This is what we understand from Chaucer's poetry, the Canterbury Tales. At the same time, we must also remember that Chaucer's characters are real and also at the same time universal. Because no one is like them. They are real and universal because they are so like us. We feel at one point of time that wife of Bath, the character of wife of Bath is not one wife of Bath. Such wives of Bath are still existing in our society. We understand from his poetry that the monk, the corrupt monk, is not only one individual monk. Such monks are found in our society also. Okay, so his characters, they attain the kind of universality. That's why you can say that Chaucer's characters are real as well as universal. They never become shadowy or lifeless. They are presented in such a live manner, that you can say the beauty of Chaucer's characters is the beauty of a man and not of a statue. Right? They shout and swear, they laugh and weep, they interrupt the storyteller, pass compliments, and in general, they behave themselves as we might expect them to be. Alright? Okay. So the characters are very lively characters, lifelike characters, and at the same time, all characters are universal characters. Different professions are also presented through characterization by Geoffrey Chaucer. And this is one of the important characteristics of Chaucer's art of characterizations. The different pilgrims represent different professions. The warlike elements, they are represented by the characters of the knight, the squire, the yeoman. In the same manner, the ploughman, the miller, the reeve, the franklin, they come from the field of agriculture. Or you can take other characters, the sergeant of law, the doctor of physic, the clerk of Oxford. They represent their own different fields of law and administration and all. The wife of Bath, the weaver, the dyer, the tapicer, they embody the industry and trade. The merchant and the shipman, they come from the field of commerce. The poor village parson, Parson, the poor village parson and the summoner, they represent the church. They come from the field of religion. The monk, the prioress, the pardoner, they all are ecclesiastical, or you can say religious characters. So the point is, you take any character, all these characters, about 30 characters, these 30 characters, they come from different professions. So through characterization, through character sketches, Chaucer has tried to show us the conditions of different professions in his times. Chaucer, not only this, he has also presented some vices. So characterization by vices of characters. Some of the vices and virtues are also expressed by Chaucer. The prologue to Canterbury Tales. In this poetry, firstly, we can say the prevalent corruption of the church. This was one of the important social evil, corruption in the church, is presented in almost all his religious characters, ecclesiastical characters like the friar, the monk, the pardoner, and so on. Secondly, the greed of the doctors. The doctors in those times were highly greedy people. They loved money. They were highly materialistic people, right? So such things, such vice is presented by the character of doctor of physics. The sergeant of law is a shrewd and hard-boiled as other members of his profession. In the same manner, dishonesty was also one of the evils or vices in his times. This dishonesty is presented in the characters of the reeve and the miller. The traditional enmity is reflected between these two characters, the reeve and the miller. Materialism, the trait of materialism, too much materialism, is presented in the character of the wife of Bath. So it is through this presentation of vices that he develops and draws his different characters in the Canterbury Tales. Chaucer has also taken this technique of drawing the characters by irony and satire. Like for the character of the wife of Bath, Chaucer uses the phrase, the worthy woman. Here the word worthy is very satirical, and through this satire, he mocks at the materialistic mind of the wife of Bath. Okay, she was worthy woman all her live means life. She was worthy woman all her life. Husbands at church door she had 5. She had 5 husbands at the church door. So the point is, her lust is expressed through these words by Chaucer. So this is also an important. Let's take another example. The character of the summoner, the character of the pardoner. In these two characters, Chaucer has satirized these characters and tried to expose them. He has also tried to expose the monk and tried to expose the prevailing corruption in his times, the corruption among the church authorities. So it is through irony or satire also, Chaucer has painted his characters. Chaucer's use of contrast, to draw the characters, he has presented 2 different characters in contrast, and this is how he develops his characters in the Canterbury Tales. Chaucer has utilized this technique of contrast in drawing his pilgrims. the good and the bad rub shoulders together with each other. Good and bad characters are presented side by side. We have the paragon of virtue in the characters of parson and plowman, and we have monsters of vices in the characters of the reeve, the miller, and the summoner. So these characters, the parson, the plowman, at one end, and reeve, the miller, the summoner at the other end. They are contrasting characters. On the one hand, we have virtuous characters, and on the other hand, we have some wicked characters. The knight, on the one hand, is foil to his son, the lusty squire. The clerk of Oxford is very opposite to the merry-making monk. The character of the monk and the character of the clerk of Oxford, they are also presented in contrast, right? In this way, this is also an important technique of presenting the characters. So, at the end of this lecture, we may say that we can draw two conclusions from the whole discussion. Number one, Chaucer's world of man is varied and wide. Varied and wide, why? Because Chaucer has presented variety of characters, number one, and Chaucer has encompassed, encapsulated almost all classes of the society. So variety is an important characteristic of his art of characterization. John Dryden, an important critic of Geoffrey Chaucer, he has rightly said these things, that there is God's plenty in the Canterbury Tales. There is God's plenty in the Canterbury Tales. That means Chaucer has presented as many variety of characters as God has presented in this world. Okay? So first thing, and second conclusion we can draw from this discussion is that it is through the depiction of his characters that Geoffrey Chaucer has managed to give an expression to his vision of life, which is both joyous and realistic. Geoffrey Chaucer had his own vision of life, his own vision of the world, which he has done realistically and at the same time in a pleasing manner. His characters are pleasing us, they make us joyful, but still they give a touch of realism. They give the realistic picture of the 14th century English society. So friends, here we come to the end of this discussion on Chaucer's art of characterization. I will come back to you again with some new points, with some new discussions on Chaucer. Till then, goodbye and have a nice day. Thank you very much.